Here we go. Hi, Steve. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Hello. Hello there. Yes, you can call me Steve. I go by many various names, and I might meet one of my alter egos someday as a completely separate entity. However, yes, in this incarnation, I'm here to talk about Polish folk metal. Due to my extensive experiences with the scene and of course the band we're going to talk about, and chip in from a Polish and European perspective on things happening in Germany and Norway currently.
Okay. So today's topics are going to be German Hells Angels, followed by
Right.
Polish folk metal bands, followed by Listhaug. Now, I know that you probably don't know anything about the commentary of that, but we will go into it.
Yeah, no intricate nuance on Germany and Norway from me, but I can at least provide an external perspective on things.
Absolutely. So if we begin, we're going to talk about German state bans Hells Angels logo online.
You're echoing a little.
Yeah. We're just going to go straight into it. And apparently displaying the symbols of notorious motorcycle gangs, the Hells Angels, and the Bandidos is forbidden across Germany, but the ban has now extended to the internet. And websites are bearing the bright red Hells Angels lettering and the iconic winged skull, or so-called Fat Mexican of the Bandidos band, will now be punished. The Interior Minister of Western State of North Rhine-Westphalia, and I will not try to pronounce his name, but I think it's absolutely ridiculous, to be honest with you. I don't know much about
it seems bizarre for someone from outside Germany to see that a specific symbol is being just banned, not allowed to be displayed. It seems to be a weird arbitrary power to have.
I'd have to agree with you there. Like, we're forced to see a different side of Germany that is forceful and doesn't see opposing views. And the way that I see the Hells Angels and all of the biking community, the way that I see them is I always see them at festivals, and they've never been a problem to me.
Yeah, same here.
I always say that I'm half a mutt. All right, so half a mutt. Well, I'm crossbreed, So they've never been a problem to me. And they've always been.
It never occurred to me that the biker gangs would have any ethnic interests, so to speak, that they would focus on ethnicities or race at all. It seems weird that the article and Germany basically claims that they are some sort of far right or something.
Yeah, but I believe that they are involved in criminal acts.
Yeah, and definitely.
Which, to our discretion, all types of gangs have criminal activity because that's why they're gangs.
Yeah. That's right. Yes, exactly. Yes, what I would expect to happen is, detection of the actual criminal activity. I know the article mentions that the authorities are led to believe that they have been involved in criminal activity, but they don't really say that they have any evidence of it, which is a bit weird to me as well. And so I would expect them to actually investigate and find networks of organizations that do involve themselves in criminal activity instead of banning the symbolism.
Yeah, but symbols. Yeah, it's a very, very strong thing to do. I think on the internet, when you do see them, the first immediate reaction is, okay, so they're probably not involved in crime, or they're probably wanting to just ride around in a gang. But who am I supposed to say? You know, sometimes I feel as though that is an underlying issue between whether or not they are, or whether or not, they could be involved in criminal acts.
I think it kind of goes both ways in this case, as in, I'm sure the authorities have some solid foundation for targeting like all of the bike gangs. As we know, there have been shootings and stuff, right? So we can probably assume that there is some legitimacy to take in focus on them, but it seems bizarre to focus on the sort of cultural aspect of it, not the strictly legal and citizen protection side. And well, why is there so much focus on the cultural side of it, like banning their symbols? It's like not really logical.
Yeah, I feel as though maybe there's an issue. Maybe between them they politically don't agree with each other because there's different fractions perhaps that we don't know about. Maybe there's so many of them because I read one of the articles and it said there's 143 different variant types of these biking gangs. And I didn't know that there was so many, to be honest with you. I thought that them being a part of a group meant nothing. It's just a bunch of men.
And I do believe it is quite likely that the actual people who are the problem out of that 300 targeted in one raid, maybe 10 of them are actual criminals and the rest of them just rides along to look cool and stuff.
Well, it's like you say, they ride around to look cool, and I have to agree with you there. Because
it is a cool style after all, the style is popular, and they are trying to delegalize the style as well as actual crimes. It's bizarre.
Like when we watch Sons of Anarchy and we think of ourselves, those are real rebels and we want to be a part of that. And the sense of camaraderie, maybe it's just a bunch of men getting together with the bikes. And
my own brother owned multiple motorcycles, and he hung out with people who would organize that. They weren't like gangs, they were legitimate like biking clubs and stuff, but he knew some shady types as well. And it's where I'm from, they were just the mildest people, right? I know like there were shootings in Germany and stuff, but I don't. I'm really struggling to see the connection how sharing, Hells Angels logo is gonna radicalize people into hardened criminals.
Well,
it's more likely that criminals pick these gangs because they are idealizing, being the outlaw and stuff like that. So they know they're safer in those sort of environments than trying to mingle with the regular public.
I agree with you there. And you know what shocked me? I'm going to show everybody an article right now. What shocks me is that Germany have a problem with a Turkish sort of band, biker gang, and I never really thought that was possible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like Ottoman Germania.
Yeah.
Wow. That is clearly an ethnic thing. Let's be honest. This is clearly ethnic.
Yeah, obviously, it says Germany has banned Turkish nationalist biker gang Osman in Germany and BC, accusing the group of carrying out violent crimes. Officials believe the gang has ties to Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's government, which,
yeah,
I mean, I feel a little bit like, what the heck is going on? I mean, apparently they're very members, but still.
Yeah, it might be that German authorities are just panicking because they discovered that a lot of these people having these biker groups are actually organizing into proper criminal gangs. And so they started sort of fighting fire by banning everything related to the phenomenon.
Yeah. I mean, the bannings, I feel as though this is 2020 now. We're going to get bans. We're going to get bans of...
Oh, yeah. I mean, but, you still have to point it out, speak out against it, even if it's happening. I mean, especially if it's happening. I mean, there's always good reason to talk about freedom of speech, I guess. But especially, seeing that the cultural items pertaining to things are getting banned, that's, unacceptable.
I mean, we're getting to the point of the video where it does discuss that there were problems with nightlife and the fact that, these biker groups would go up to a nightclub and say, you need better security, because they'd start try to take over.
Yeah, it looks to me like the most sort of basic law enforcement, though. It's not like, oh, they've done something that never has ever done before, and therefore we must take special measures. No, it's a regular and organized sort of low-level organization crime, gangs. It's a basic law enforcement thing, and not national sort of restructuring worthy thing.
I do feel since America has had so much influence over the world with this sort of like BLM stuff, and there is always going to be a pushback, We're always going to hear one opposing side to the other, and we in the middle, we have to think about what that means and who's whom and what's what, and where we place ourselves. But at the same time, I'm not judging anybody, because if I was in a situation in Germany and I had to make my mind up, I'd be like, who cares, man? I'm just here to enjoy myself. As a matter of fact, I mean, if you don't want to make more jobs, that's probably the reason why they're making the choices to be thugs and take over the nightlife, or they want to do other things that are destructive because, they have that image about them. Perhaps they get blamed a lot. Maybe there is a sort of a part of society where we all need to reflect back and think about the impacts, especially during this time, like you say, we've got to think about freedom of speech, freedom of choices, freedom of beliefs. And for them, it's a belief system. They believe in that. They don't believe in anything else. They're there, and that's their friends. That's their life. So who are we to judge them for their lives? If they're participating in criminal activity, I've got a bit of a problem with it, but each to their own. We used to think like that, each to their own, but now we don't.
Now we have collective responsibility, of course. Yes.
Is it collective responsibility?
Yeah.
I don't.
That means if someone from one group does something bad, then the whole group has to be held responsible.
Even if it was like 10, 20 years ago type thing.
Oh, yeah. Of course, yes. Also guilt by blood, so that there was that case of a spouse of a person who tweeted something offensive, and the spouse got fired for that.
Oh my word! You see, this is the thing. I mean,
it's some sort of like weird authoritarian extremism where the solution to everything is just banning and punishing everybody, no matter what. Just keep beating people up until they stop complaining, kind of thing. I think.
I understand the complications of violence and whether or not there is an association. But if there is, then it brings down the rest of the group, like everybody else is saying, and why don't they give them a chance? And
yeah.
But if this be the case, then everybody has to also start looking at BLM and start saying, are they involved in crime? Are these kind of terrorist motivations? And if so, then it's a problem. We don't really want it. So, but it kind of shocked me how they're all connecting this to Erdogan, and how the conversations have even ended up in court cases where they've mentioned this, and they've mentioned that they try to get money and resources this way.
I can give you a geopolitical game interpretation of the events. So Germany is trying to protect itself from Turkey, and for that reason it had to ban the Turkish nationalist biker gang. But they couldn't just target them; they had to target all biker gangs, so as to make it look like they're not specifically targeting that Turkish one.
Well, apparently, this is according to the news as well. There was a band that there was a group that escaped, and they escaped to Denmark, which lo and behold, you've got all these Danish bikers, and they're called the Bandidos. I've never come across them, to be honest with you, but they seem like normal folks, to be honest with you, or what I would classify as normal. Their bikes, Harleys, but they've got choppers and all.
Yeah, exactly. They look like people who would drive such vehicles. That's all. And that might be also yet another angle for Germany, is that they just want to get rid of them altogether for some German reasons. And so first they target the gang that is recognized by their bikes, and then they target just bikes overall.
But it does seem like quite a lot has happened around the world First they went after hate speech, and now they're after gangs and looking at their criminal activity. It feels kind of spooky, you know.
Yeah.
But it does affect.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much more criminal activity going on in Germany itself that I don't really think, I don't understand why would they very conspicuously throw all the resources on Hells Angels, you know.
It does affect music in such a dynamic way because of.
Oh yeah, because you know it's the budgets now, but then they will say, oh, they all listen to a certain kind of music, you know.
Yeah, and that's how it all starts, and that's what I'm afraid of. Like, I'm afraid that they're gonna like get so wound up about the context of this, that, and the other. It will be the music that goes next, or it will be what people style of people's clothes or whatever that's next, which
Yeah, you know, I remember back in the 90s growing up, all the, you know, ultra Catholic old ladies were like, oh, this music is the devil and we should ban it all and throw people in jail. And 20, 30 years later, it's the same thing over again,
like
but now they're winning. Yeah. It's horrible.
We're going to be burned at the stake.
Yeah.
But, speaking of music, we're now going to discuss Polish folk music. If you're ready for it, if you're game.
I was born ready for Polish folk music.
What was that?
I was born ready for Polish folk metal.
Yeah, because I was thinking, you know, we'll start with Slavland, and I don't know really much about them apart from they seem pretty kick-ass, more black metal style than I thought I would be discussing.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm very intrigued about them. So anybody who wants
yes, so when it comes to... Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Steve.
Well, when it comes to Slavland, I don't know, not much is known about them, I should say, because all I could find online is that they formed in 2001. Somewhere in Poland, that they've released quite a bit of music that I've listened to, and yeah, they seem quite competent at doing this very, very sort of core black metal stuff, with the added folk sort of tinge to it. Very nice.
Ooh, yes, we like stuff like that. A blend of everything, you know.
Yeah.
It makes it more interesting, and I feel as though, yeah, everybody talks about Behemoth, but I promise
Yes.
friends that I wouldn't talk about mainstream bands. I would talk about small bands. So
yeah, I knew a guy who once played drums on support for Behemoth. Yeah. It was quite dope. But
it's quite dope. Yes, I met Billy Mayhem a couple of years ago. Insane. How do I pronounce that one then? Is it Swartz?
Stworz. Yeah, very nice.
This is another band that I won't play it because I don't want to get it.
Yeah, it's just a static picture now. Yeah, these guys are very, very sort of dynamic with their style. This track is especially interesting because it's a black metal prayer. And they mix a lot of very, very folk focused texts and lyrics, and also styles of singing with their black metal compositions, which creates really quite a unique combination. And yes, the topics are very, very pagan as well, and also this sort of Polish patriotic traditionalism, which is a lot about the dying and fighting and stuff.
Nothing wrong with dying and fighting because it makes the music interesting. It's like telling the story of how
Exactly.
Poland was raised or born, to be honest with you, or founded is the better word to put it.
Yeah, it is a very important part of like the identity. We have quite extensive education in all the conflicts, and we have a great deal also through education and tradition, a great deal of respect and memory for our ancestors who. It is very unusual for a European country, but we are taught that everything we have is through our ancestors' sacrifice.
You see, the interesting thing about the discussion that we're having right now, I recently got involved in reading about Peer Gynt, and I found it very liberating because at the time Peer Gynt was written, it was the time where it was the build-up of the battle between Norway and Sweden.
All right.
Obviously, the liberation of Norway was a slow process because not only did it have to free itself from Denmark, it had to free itself from Sweden as well. And it had to find its own identity with its language. So it's a very interesting development of the reasons why we need folk music to just remind us of history and the developments of such things. It's not just about the Nordic gods or anything else like that, though.
No, definitely. It is connection to the continuity of our people, so to speak, to like the whole lineage from the very beginnings of when we started being we, kind of thing.
Absolutely. So it brings me to the next one, which I'm going to try my hardest to pronounce it so that I'm not sounding all weird. But it's Radgost.
Radgost, yes, that's perfect.
Oh, stop share.
Yes, Radgost is a relatively recent band. However, I find them probably the best band I've heard in ages, and that includes global sort of production. They are very, very good technically. I think you'd agree that they have good quality of sound, and their compositions are very good. And so what I focus the most with this genre actually is the text, because they sing quite a lot, and I just love it because all of their texts are inspired by either clear folk or neo-romanticism, which was a period in the history of literature before the war in Poland, where the poets and writers were extremely fascinated with all the ancient times and mythology and stuff, and it's all extremely mystical, occult, and really sort of mysterious, and it's really great to have this to show as a sort of other side for Listhaug. because as much as that one was so sort of touching on some foundations, this Radogos thing is more of a forward-looking spirit. It's way more sort of active. All the texts are more active and more affirmatory towards the old order that we all feel inside of us it lives through us, and that sort of messages,
Wow. So is that an actual spirit that looms around you? It's like a god.
Yeah. Radogos itself it was a Slavic deity worshipped in like Western Slavic lands, like sort of East Germany, Western Poland.
Awesome. Well, I find this extremely fascinating because, most people don't get to hear this on the radio. And so you have to actually know your bands before you type them into Spotify sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm giving people the opportunity to just get to know other bands. But I felt like Radagast, when I heard them for the first time, they sounded so much like Vader rather than anything else. And then the drumming was quite intense,
Yeah, but Vader is more towards thrash metal as well, yeah.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Everyone compares Behemoth, and they have that. But if they like Behemoth, they're gonna like Radagast, because that is a band that everybody should have been paying attention to as well.
Definitely. The quality. Yeah.
Is that true?
Sorry?
Radagast, it's been going on for about 20 years.
20 years? Not. Well, it's 2020. Yes, about 20 years as well. Yes.
The same time.
I just realized how old I am, and I made myself sad.
We'll just pretend. All right. the two of us will just pretend. We're talking about...
Yes, it's a relatively new band.
It's a relatively new band. We'll do what Slipknot did, Relatively new band.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes, and obviously, 20 years ago was a time of creativity and vast improvement on sound and technology. Even in film and stuff, we had breakthrough films like Blade, and there was loads to mention. The list is too intense. We had The Matrix as well. So now.
Oh yeah. It was the digital era, right? It was touted and flaunted everywhere that you were going digital and quality is gonna be better than you can imagine,
Absolutely. So you also went through the same things in Poland.
Oh, of course.
That's why
we have these pushes occasionally. Like before it was electrification. So like everybody was like chipping in just to get electricity everywhere in Poland, right? And then in the 2000s, it was the internet and digitalization of everything.
That's awesome. So I'm gonna now discuss the next band, which I'm really looking forward to. But let me see if I can say it. Is it Cat?
Cat. Yeah, it means the executioner.
The what?
Executioner.
The executioner. Cat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's way more concise in Polish.
Way more concise, yeah, because I'm dealing with concise languages right now, and having to be more concise. It's this one I liked. I'm trying not to play the sound so I don't get told off. But this one I liked. It was very very unusual.
Yes.
And
That's what I love about them. Absolutely unique atmosphere that they have in their sound. I can't really put my finger on what makes it, but it's something about. It might be just their sound setup that just gave that effect. But it's really I've never heard anything like it.
I have to agree with you there. It was very, very interesting, and I can't believe that there's like such cult following for him.
Oh yeah.
I was actually quite shocked as soon as you told me about that band. I was like, let's have a look. Let's just type this into YouTube. All of a sudden, there's like people playing this song, on the guitar.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Which
Yeah, it's actually a funny story also about freedom of speech in Poland. So Kat and the vocalist and leader was an avid Satanist,
yeah,
and Poland is an ultra Catholic country, right? So what was happening is that they would invite the band and the vocalist to TV, to national TV, to have a debate with him and to see what those Satanists are all about. He was a bit of a celebrity for a while as well.
yeah, that's controversial topics, and
Yeah.
many of these creative bands, they always like controversy. They're sort of like, we live for those moments. If only we could have TV back to the way that the standards that it was. When they investigated about small bands and stuff.
Yeah.
But we all have to do our homework now, so it's like it's all hearsay. So we hear from a friend, it's like, yeah, listen to this band. Whoa, yeah, this is amazing. Try this out. And now we can't have that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't even know how I found Radoghost myself. It was an absolute accident. And I set out specifically to look for Polish folk music as I was getting into studies of the neo-romanticism period. So I went to look specifically for Polish folk music, and I was like, nah, can I have some metal? So I put Polish folk metal music, and through a lot of various bands of highly varying quality, I had one track of Radoghost, and it just hooked me. And I would really appreciate if someone told me about it, sooner.
Yeah, and this is why I feel as though it's really important to make these shares, so that other people get the opportunity to also hear these bands that we've never heard, and they're about 20 years old.
Yep.
It's like, sorted. We're now problem solved. Right, we're going to talk about our next topic, and even though you don't really know anything about Listhaug, I'm going to give you
Listhaug.
Yeah, because Listhaug is from FRP, and she's known as the far right in Norway. Except her opinions, I sometimes criticise her opinions a little bit too much because I'm a moderate. But
yeah.
Then again, sometimes I find myself agreeing with her occasionally.
Yeah, I mean, how far right can Norwegian far right be, actually, to be honest?
I mean, I don't think that they're so far right that they're going to fall off the cliff.
Yeah.
Which, scares me to go left at the moment.
Oh yes, yes, yes. There is the horizon is dropping so very shortly. Yes.
I feel as though the police are doing their utmost to keep law and order here, and they're doing a
That's good.
fantastic job. I'm gonna have to give them a round of applause. There's for the
That's very good to hear after seeing what's happening, in
around the
the
world.
English-speaking countries, especially.
Absolutely, and they stand up for our rights. They always want us to be able to have freedom of expression. They're not going to close or stop conversation. They want us to be able to express ourselves. But I think my main concern about this story is that there's more to the issue than meets the eye. I'll put it in English so that you can also get the benefit of the conversation and the gist of the thing. Because personally, I feel as though half of me wants to help these people, and half of me doesn't. So I'm sort of a moderate where I'm thinking, am I letting my emotions run astray, or are these people just not being told the full story? Is it that? Because it's sort of like I'm arguing to myself about the subject. So if we just fire away with the topic. Listhaug warns against staying due to the Moira fire. It says Sylvie Listhaug believes that Norway should not accept a single refugee from Moira camp in Greece. And it says Médecins Sans Frontières answers that the situation is acute and that the refugees should be evacuated immediately. This is all her commentary. And first of all, I'm going to use the question that she says, will burning down the camp where you live be an entrance ticket to get to European countries?
Yep. Yeah.
About that.
Right. So, first of all, the response that these people should be evacuated, I can get behind that. It's just not anyone's problem other than Greece and wherever those people are from. So let me start with that. And I have to agree with Listhaug on her opinion that it might be perhaps possible that it will send a message. And the question, will that actually cause people to shoot themselves in the foot so they can get insurance, so to speak, is not going to happen now that potentially the Moria camp is going to get even more resources thrown at it.
I mean, I agree that they need more and more people, but apparently the government said that it will receive 50 people from Moira.
Okay.
I feel as though not enough is done for the people that actually live in Lesbos.
Oh yes.
The situation in Lesbos is probably at its critical point. The angle that I'm coming from is, it's all fine, fair enough. We can say, oh, the virus or the bug has come, But for people who are living on an island and they were dependent on tourism, which isn't coming in because every country that used to pay to go and visit them is no longer able to visit them because, they've got the lockdown. They can't fly there. They can't go on holiday. There's been a ban. So they've got no actual income. So I can understand that they would probably be annoyed at that factor. You know, a party is now phased out. We can't have any
Of
more.
course. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, in order to determine what should be done about those poor people in that camp, I think it really is important to establish what factors contributed to them being in that situation, and those factors would be Turkey and the EU.
I'm gonna have to agree with you on that. I just flicked over to the wrong screen there. And again, I've done it again. I'm gonna have to agree with you on that subject because when I was reading more onto the developments of, you know, the situation, I call COVID the virus.
Yeah. Yes.
Obviously YouTube and its funniness. The story doesn't get out to anybody, and it's a problem. Oh, stop share. So it becomes a bit of a problem. And
from what I remember from since the beginning of the year, Lesbos has been like the Isle Lesbos has been a humanitarian issue for a while now, and it's been always a matter of time before something horrible happened there, and a lot of people were talking about it for a while. Media reported on those voices, but not very positively and not for very long. So the issue being, swiped under the rug, as it were, as it tends to happen. And now it explodes, and we're wondering what do we do now. But yeah, I'm not really sure about that myself, to be honest.
I suppose you can have an ostrich effect about it and pretend that you can stick your head in the sand and forget about it, and then the world will fly by, you know. Or you can actually realise that, like you say, there is a problem with Turkey. And if you're living on an island and you're thinking to yourself, well, where are all these people coming from? Why are they here? We can't even defend or protect ourselves. And then all of a sudden, you've got Turkey has not given up on rights in the East Mediterranean. You know, you've got that going on, and they're thinking, we're going to get invaded. You know,
I just would maybe remind that Turkey warned Europe that they would unleash a wave of migrants that would hit Europe specifically because it would hit Europe economically. And after they've threatened that, they have done exactly that, and that is how we got the Lesbos situation.
I feel as though it's more than that. It's more to do with them being greedy and.
Oh yeah, I mean. Yeah. I mean, the problem is that those people are being used as political tokens, and both Turkey and I think the EU is playing them as their chips, bargaining chips.
I feel as though that's exactly the reason why I was like, Listhaug, now you're definitely not going to win, because maybe 50, we could take 50, but we can't do what the UN said and take lots. But I mean, it says in this article on Reuters that they are actually looking for offshore natural resources.
Yep.
Now, it could be the gas thing that they are in dispute with Greece and Turkey. I will show that article now, but at the same time as talking to you. But I'm a bit skeptical about both situations and whether or not we...
A coincidence?
Yeah, we here are being told the serious nature of the situation. You know, in all intents and purposes, we're only told half a story.
Yeah.
So we'll get some of the story. We'll have to do our research. We have to pluck it out of the hat
Yeah.
and say,
Yeah.
so.
From what I gathered about that activity in the Mediterranean, that Turkey literally like sailed. I don't know what word to use. Yeah, so they had like military warships in there protecting their so-called scientific vessel. So like they militarily took those waters. It's kind of weird that
That is kind of weird. Why would you
nobody
do
seems
that?
to care.
Well,
Yeah.
well,
To see how far you can go, because obviously nobody cares when they do that, so they keep doing it more and more and further into the into Europe, as it were. And I can just remind you that Russia did exactly the same with Georgia and Crimea. That they just prodded, and took inch after inch after inch that Europe just didn't care about, until it turned out that all region is theirs.
Well, the strangest thing about it, even The Guardian has mentioned it. And even though I went through MSN, I'm just showing that the Guardian does have this article, so that other people realise that this is the real deal. How a rush for Mediterranean gas threatens to push Greece and Turkey into war. So these people apparently fled war. And they've gone to Lesbos thinking, oh yeah, that's a place of safety. No, it's not. What Listhaug is saying is that she will allow the aid to, screen these people, rather than them getting all the way here and then booted out. Because the thing about Norway is that they actually don't listen to Europe and they boot people out. Is an actual fact.
Yeah, it's also the position of, broadly speaking, Poland, that if there are humanitarian problems, then we should fix the humanitarian problems where they occur and not let people affected by the problem try and assimilate them into our culture, or worse yet, enclave them in some concentration camp style or a ghetto in Germany or Poland.
I agree with that concentration style tactic. I feel as though that has devastating effects, because what we're looking at is people who are in unhygienic conditions, and the virus is here, and we've already gone to dystopian measures with our own people. Can you imagine if they had a dream to come to Europe, right? And this dream of what they saw, big lights and fast things happening, it's not happening.
Yeah, it is quite fair to say that those people were, either the refugees that come to specifically Greece. Let's be honest here, are arriving there for false premises, like by false promises of people who tell them how much Greece can be better than wherever they live, which stops being the case the more they come over.
I mean, yeah, I want things to return back to normal. Don't get me wrong. I want us to go out and enjoy ourselves and things like that. But if this is real, and there has been a real problem in the Mediterranean, then I would respect it if our leaders around and the opposition as well would at least come together and discuss things like adults, right? To stop us from having cabin fever. I say cabin fever because it's got there, you know.
I clearly remember the day about a month and a half ago when I realized, I've gone insane.
Yeah, exactly, and I'm appreciating that Germany wants to be mediator. It's very very good of them to come in, do the things that they feel is necessary. But on the other hand, I feel as though, you know, it's got to that point where, you know, people are saying that they don't actually like to be in Europe. And I'm going to stop sharing and then I'm going to share again. Right. People are saying that they don't want to be in Europe, and you're having to like say to people, well, if you don't want to be in Europe, then why don't you just try to go? And we're not helping them to
I really liked Listhaug's suggestion that the focus should be to get them back home.
Yeah, because I believe that...
there is plenty of interviews with the people in the specific camps that we're Camp Moria that we're talking about, and they say that they hate it there and they hate Europe in general, and they were lied to when they were coming there. So I think Listhaug is perfectly justified, and I would fully support her motion to just get those people back home, wherever that is.
I feel as though, yeah, we're justified in doing it, and we're justified in saying it, but, you know, now they find themselves in a war-torn... Well, it's not war-torn yet, but in a situation...
I mean, you know, the first country that is in that war, you know, and they should seek asylum in the first country surrounding theirs that is in that war, so we just offload them.
But the way that I see it is now Europe is in a crisis. So we've got the virus. And we've got a crisis, so now we need to turn around to the UN and say no thank you, because this is now encroaching in our rights. Or no thank you, because this is going to escalate into something stupid. We're already seeing a bunch of teenagers all gather, you know, 200, 300 of them to party this weekend in 2 locations in Norway, you know, in Oslo. So I'm being specific that, you know, if there is a problem and if this is a virus, then, you know, what we need to do is we need to follow the orders that we're being told. And if these people are having a problem, even complying and not burning their or they're retaliating. Imagine how much they're going to retaliate when they're here. And that's the thing that also scares me, because we're also seeing a lot of...
That is also an interesting thing to point out, that the healthcare considerations are never mentioned in relation to refugees, which is as if the virus was just for the native population to be controlled. Just saying it looks like this. I am quite convinced that there is a virus. Yes.
I am convinced there is a virus, and so if I was...
it's just being used quite interestingly.
Yeah. If I was living on the island of Lesbos, let's just face it, not a lot of people have the common sense and say, you know, I'm going to put myself in another person's shoes. I would be panicking round about now. I'd be like, gee whiz, is this virus? What if they've got the virus? And, you know, I would be thinking in those manners, because obviously when you live on a small island, you know the person, your next door neighbour, and you know it's quite.
Yeah, especially after 6 months of restrictions, I think people are quite inclined to really be cautious of infection.
Absolutely, and I'm not saying that the world is perfect and we should all have a kumbaya song about it. I'm saying that right round about now, the UN need to look right deep down and say, no, countries can't do this anymore because it's not going to work. And
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like when we. I mean, because I've been talking to a lot of people, right? And it looks to me that when we say like, look, okay, clearly this isn't working out, it's like we're trying to say that it could never have worked and everything was wrong and we've been wrong all this time and everything is shit now. No, we're saying like in this particular situation, because we had some extra situations happening before, it's just not sustainable anymore. So can we start doing something else other than letting Turkey flood Europe with people from nobody knows where?
I mean, yes, I have read the articles about Turkey, and yes, I have read other different points of views, but my heart still is in a place where if you do not help Greece, then you're going to always have problems. I've always been like,
I mean,
they can't afford to do anything like you said earlier, and I feel as though it's got to that point where if we do.
Oh yeah, I mean definitely. Like if the UN wants to help Greece, it should provide military cover for evacuation of the isle from the refugee population to the first isle of their country or whatever, like the first shore of their countries, or just straight back to where they were sent from, that is Turkey.
The problem with this,
and that would cause a war, of course, but you've got to do what you've got to do. I'm not calling for war. I'm
not calling for it
because it's not. Turkey shouldn't have done it, and we know they've done it. They've done it for a specific hostile reason.
Skeptical about everything else that gets said, because I feel as though, on one hand, we've got ISIS and we've had to worry about ISIS. Now, these people fled ISIS. We've now taken them back. So we look like hypocrites. And these people probably don't even realise that we look like hypocrites because we're taking these people back. The only thing is that in the UK, they sent them off to America, the really bad ones. They've gone to trial in America and they will be sent to Guantanamo Bay if they, a trial. That is the outcome of their thing. But Listhaug, FRP, left the government. It's no longer got representation because the government wanted to receive so-called ISIS mother with a sick child from Syria. So this is really like a tenuous situation that I feel uncomfortable about. And I personally feel as if you're gonna help people, then you need to persecute those who need to be persecuted and get it done, and help the people that need help and get it done fast. Yeah. I feel that the whole process has been so emotional.
Yes, exactly. And it's like we see a fire in front of us and we rush to, pour water on it, but we forget to check whether it's oil or wood burning.
I agree with you there. And I sort of read other different points of views and the situation and how bad it's got. And these women are pregnant, okay, and they've got their children. So I'm thinking, well, in a situation like that, it's you find yourself pregnant and you're in a crisis. That's bad.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, my grandma carried my mother all the way, during the forced relocation under German occupation. It's not that bad.
It's not that bad, really. To just be carried around. When you're a pregnant woman, you got all this risk. It's not that bad, obviously. No, my biggest fear is right. I've got all these women in a vulnerable situation, but that's not what I've seen. I've seen boats with blokes on them going to UK.
Of course, combat age men.
Did they leave all these women and children in Lesbos? Because that's what
could
it
be. Yeah, that could be. That could be.
Because I'm kind of skeptical. I'm thinking, well, if that be the case,
I mean, there is no clear evidence for that. I mean, maybe we could track something down, but I really doubt, because the issue is that we don't actually know where those people in Lesbos are from, and we don't also know where the people coming through the channel are from.
So this is a vetting process that we need to do from the get-go.
Yep. Correct.
So if we enable a vetting process, it will be a lot better and a better system for all. Because I think though the images that we are seeing of the Mediterranean are not of these 4,000 children, many sick and vulnerable, and pregnant women. And we're looking at them and we're thinking 200 pregnant women, but we let in about 13.
Yeah, 5,000. Men in productive age, not willing to work. If you're a man in productive age, not willing to work, it means you're willing to fight. That's about it.
I mean, it freaks me out, because it looks like they're willing to fight, but also it's an encroachment on our rights as well, because we're getting our rights invaded as well. Because
I do believe every culture has the right to exist and survive, and that's why we should stop mass immigration into our countries.
But then we also need to think about the women and children, because if we don't, then we look like cunts.
I mean, their men are busy invading Europe, so I don't really see how much responsibility over them we have right now.
I don't either, and I feel as though 50's enough. I feel sorry for the rest.
Yeah.
And I am sorry.
I mean, look. We spent the past 2,000 years without medicine, and we've done fine. I think, field hospital for them would do.
But even then, I feel as though they are actually possibly going to be in a war zone pretty soon. And then we have to think about the people of Lesbos. What do we do about that? If they are in a war, what do we do about the people in Greece? So already we would have capped our refugees thing if this does escalate. So I'm already there, thinking about the future if this does go wrong. And I think a lot of people don't think about that. They think, oh yeah, but look, the islanders of Lesbos, they've got a house and they've got this. What do you think the other people were fleeing from? I think they don't come from houses, they come from mud huts. It's like...
Yeah, I mean, that's what they think. And ironically, they think that outside Europe it's like murder or some stuff, or some other negative universe or some stuff like that. It's really bizarre.
It'd be a bit funny if these people had a secret cove with a beautiful garden and a nice pool that they fled from. Because I wouldn't give them coffee, you know what I mean?
Hell, they probably had orchards with dates and oranges and mangoes in them.
Oh, goodness, I wouldn't give that up for toffee. But if it got bombed, then I feel sorry for them. But that's exactly what's going to probably happen to the people in Lesbos. So that is the news. Then we've covered the news and we've covered music. And thank you very much, Steve. It's been
thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. And we'll call it a wrap.